Hello, this is Zulu, and welcome to Weekly Charge Up. Um, this is uh, where you can have something to contemplate during the week, and I'm hoping it'll be a positive thing for you to carry throughout the week. Today's topic is detoxing, um, but not in the way that we speak of. Disclaimer: I am not a health professional. I am not a medical professional at all. I am someone who is going through my journey uh, on different levels. And I did write a book, A Vista Within, and these series are along with that book. Um, Hopefully, I will remember to put the link to it if you want to purchase it. And this is to help you improve your self confidence and have a little positive energy to carry with you throughout the week. So, like I said, this week's topic is detoxing, but not in the traditional way that we look at detoxing, like physically, although we're going to touch on that, but I'll show how it shows parallel. Today's date is January 26, 2025. Before we get into the topic, I'd like to do a little recap about last week's. Oh, no, not last week. I'm sorry. I don't think I came on last week, and I do apologize for that. Um, the week before, I had the topic of boundaries. So we're going to do a quick revisit on that topic. Now, if you're like someone like me who did not have boundaries before and you're trying to establish it, you may find some resistance, both from yourself, because it's like learning a new habit, and you might get it from the people around you as well. So if you tried to set boundaries and you had some resistance, that's normal, because I've tried this several times throughout my journey in life. What does that tell you? One, you may have been a little bit too lax with your boundaries, and those around you might be confused of the boundaries you set. Another one that it tells you, it tells you who is willing to respect your new boundaries. And it basically shows you, how can I say? It shows you who you could trust and who you can't. Not trust. That's maybe a too strong word. It shows you what level of respect you have with those around you. That works better. It may tell you who respects you and who don't, who feels that you have to be the old self. Because setting boundaries is a form of growing as a person and evolving. Those who care understand, and they'll even open a dialogue with you. Reaction, if it's negative, don't let that deter you. It's important. The boundaries are your boundaries. So it's important to maintain them. So keep working on them. I found it interesting when I set those boundaries. My experience, because I did experience it, it was 2 weeks, and got some negative. So that's why I said the negative, but they were positive. I felt better. Um, there was a pep in my step. There was a motivation because I was being me. I was able to be me because those healthy boundaries were set. Now on to the main topic. Main topic is detoxing. Now, I know I'm gonna address this because I do smoke cigarettes sometimes when I'm on my lives, and I was told that's a bad example. I didn't say detoxing was easy. Um, Smoking is one of my bad habits, but I did work on it, my addiction to caffeine. But the detoxing, let's go and let me explain why I chose this topic. I chose this topic because everybody in this month is detoxing physically. They're going through whatever fad is going on at the time. Um, some people use the cabbage, some people buy products, but that's not the type of detoxing I'm talking about. I'm talking about um, detoxing. How can I put this? The energy around you. Not energy is probably your influences, your exterior influences. When you choose to detox, you're choosing what is coming into your body, what is coming into your life, what is what you are partaking in your life. That's where I'm focusing on because I am not a huge detoxer. Um, I do fast and everything else, but that's on that topic. I'm going to leave that. So before we continue, I want to define what I found as definitions for detoxing. Um, Detoxing is the process of removing harmful substance and toxins from the body. I already addressed that, but that's the official. Um, that's the official definition, and there's a second one that says abstain from or rid the body of toxin or unhealthy substances. Now, sometimes that is. I'm going to flip that and say people, places, and things. That's the best way I could put it. Um, yeah, I'm not going to turn this into an AA meeting, but that's one of the ways that that's one of the core principles if you go to AA. People, places, and things. You emulate those you surround yourself with. If you surround yourself with people, if you're a loner, then places. Where do you go? Does it have a positive influence on you? Um, does it enrich your life? Uh, Places, things. um, Now this one I may seem a little hypocritical, but things that you like to do. I smoke. Um, Things that you let into your life. Thoughts. That's a thing. Thoughts. So while you're trying to cleanse your body, is what I'm saying, you may want to add an extra element of being aware of letting only positive influences into your space. That's what I'm trying to say. Into your space. So, for example, I like to hang out with people who like in depth conversations, enrich conversations. You probably will see some of that in my series, Can We Talk, where I have my co-host Luke who comes on with me. Um, but that's one thing. So, are the conversations you're having growing? If they're meaningless conversations, maybe you want to adjust that. Detox from the partaking in gossip, partaking in being rude. I mean, when I say being rude, sometimes you have bad days, yeah. Sometimes you have bad moments, so that happens. But if it's on a constant, that's the type of habit you want to detox from. If you find yourself wasting your time, maybe you need to detox from that. Um, find something creative to do. Fill your time, your space with more enriched things to do, places to go. Um, is your thing now? I'm not saying it's a bad thing to go to the bar on occasion, but do you find yourself going to the bar or going to the club all the time? Maybe that's a habit you have to detox from. Um, do you find now this is I'm guilty of this. Do you find yourself in front of the TV a lot or scrolling on your phone a lot? Um, maybe you want to replace that with going for a brisk walk, um, going to smell the roses. Actually, take in the scenery when you're going places. For example, sometimes when you're going to work, there are amazing sights. I have a habit now of I have a new camera, which I'm still playing with. Unfortunately, I'm still learning how to use it, but I'll be playing around with that for the next live I do. But I walk around with the camera, and consciously walking around with this camera makes me actually look around and see what interesting sights I see, what interesting items I see. I take pictures of scenes. I don't take pictures of people because that's kind of intrusive. Um, but if you're going to work, I am not saying walk around with a camera, but take the time to look. One of the habits I fell out of and I used to love going to a coffee shop and people watching. And it connects you, it makes you hopeful. Just observing people going about their life, just observing the bird flying. I remember right before I started it with the camera, I was standing waiting for my transportation to go to work, and I looked up in the sky and saw the most beautiful moon I've ever seen. And that made my day go so much better. So instead of, especially if you wake up early in the morning or you just have a long ride, instead of sitting there, now this is inner thinking at this point. Instead of sitting there and dreading getting to work and calculating what could go wrong or all the work that's waiting for you, the papers that are piled up and the emails that'll be waiting for you at work, don't think about that. That's a negative reinforcement sometimes. It stresses you out, which defeats the purpose, especially if you're physically detoxing, which defeats that purpose. So try more of getting into the routine of enjoying the trip to work. Not don't think about the destination. Enjoy the ride. Look out the window. Look around the bus or the train that you're on. And just take it in. No thought. Just take it in and be like, what a beautiful day. I'm on the East Coast, so right now, when we wake up early in the morning, I think it's everywhere in the States, you wake up early in the morning, um, it's dark. But I realize how beautiful, as I'm going into work, how beautiful the skyline by just taking that moment. And it gives you a sense of excitement. You're changing what you're intaking and how you're perceiving things. So I was looking up the benefits of detoxing. Now, when I looked this up, Um, it's referring to detoxing physically. And like I said, I'm not an expert with that. So now we're talking about mentally and what we let into our space. And it's funny, the first thing on here is improved mental health, which, like I said, by changing people, places, and things, you automatically change the way you think, the way you perceive things. Um, you become more joyful. When I'm out and I'm partaking in my, as I light one up, in my bad habit, um, I notice a lot of things, little things that I see a lot of tourists. And I tell you what, the way tourists walks around your town makes you change your perception of the area you are normally used to. And as you see the wonder on their face and their eyes, you look around and you're like, oh, I have a lot to appreciate. It makes you grateful. Um, the second thing it says is it gives you better digestion, which, again, I have experience. I've been playing around with detoxing myself, with the people I hang out with, the thoughts I let in, the places I go, if I go anywhere. Um, and it's odd the way, because I have had some digestion issues, and it's odd how I've noticed when I'm going out and I'm absorbing and I'm careful, I'm mindful of what I'm absorbing into my psyche, what I'm taking in, how I'm letting it in, stopping to smell the roses. It eases a lot. Weight maintenance. Well, that's more of the physical detox, but in the same way, by going through life in that thinking that way, you may want to exercise more, go out more to experience stuff, or you may want to sit and instead of what do they call it? Um, doom scrolling. Instead of doom scrolling, um, you tend to go more towards positive things that you're intaking. Now, improved immune system, that's all physical. I haven't put a connection to that. But the next one is increased energy. I do admit, because like before I bring these topics up, I actually go through it. So I could say this is what I experienced. And if you come around here, come upon this, you come on live or you come across this at a later date, drop a line. Say if you let me know what you might have noticed. But I do notice an increased energy that I have by changing that. It's like you think positive, you're mindful of what you let into your space, your mentality, and then it improves. Now, actually, I'm going to say this falls under this, although you wouldn't think so. It says reduce headaches and muscle aches and reduce stress. It does because, like I said, detoxing is what you allow in and what you allow to affect you. You're detoxing your body from toxins when you're doing the physical diet and everything else for however long you're doing it, whether it's 3 days, 7 days, and I think there's a longer one that most take. But when you detox from people, places, and things, you do find yourself with a lot of energy. You do find yourself, I found out that my stress is reduced when I'm not running around. There was a point in my life where there wasn't a moment I was ever at home. I was constantly going here, constantly going there. I had bad influences, people, places, things. Um, and once I adjust, migraines were not as much. I have muscle aches um, here and there, but that's due to weather. I know that. You know, when you get older, they say, you know when it's going to rain, you know when it's going to snow, and you know when you have a cold day. Your body tells you. But also, people, places, and things can also affect your body. Now, I did see forms of detoxing, and this is more of where this discussion of people, places, and things, this form of detoxing really take effect. Because you, like I said earlier, you are being mindful of what you're taking in. Your five senses is not just the mouth that that's affected. What you see, what you look, what you watch, what you listen to, what you hear, what you pay attention to. Even when it comes to touch, that's very important. So, that being said, forms of detoxing, healthy diet. Yeah, I said it's not all about the mouth, but you got to start somewhere. Can't do anything without energy. So, most people, like I said, they go through and they do the physical detox. But one of the downfalls, and especially happens this month, is people detox and they do not follow a healthy diet. They do not change their diet to be healthier. Um, Now, like I said, I'm not a nutrition, I'm not a doctor, but my experience is when I'm having certain issues, I change my diet. For example, um, what was it? Oh, now this goes back a couple of years. I ain't gonna say how old, how many decades ago, and yes, decades. Um, there was a point in my life where I suffered from migraines, and I couldn't understand what was going on. Now I was young, and when you're young, you don't eat the healthiest. I mean, McDonald's, Burger King, all those things become a good staple in your life, and you don't feel the effects. But and the doctors couldn't figure out what was going on with my migraines or anything. And someone told me one simple thing because they noticed that I love to drink beer. And they were like, stop drinking beer. And it was I forgot what ingredient they said was in the beer. And I think it took about maybe a week or two. And the migraines started lessening. The frequency of me getting it was lower. Now everybody's different, but people, places, and things, diet, a thing. Adjusting your diet, taking out things that might be harmful to your physical self will help you gain energy, will help you think clearly. Another thing, which is something, especially now since it's winter, a lot of us, and I even have to remind myself to do this because I'm a huge coffee drinker, as you can see. Or I don't drink soda, but the one thing I don't drink enough of is water. You have to hydrate yourself. And I know I'm talking about body stuff, but you have to hydrate yourself. The other one is exercise. I'm not an expert in that, and I am so bad to be the one to actually touch on that one. But I have to admit, at the time, if well, I can't run right now, but if I go for a nice walk, once I get going, or I do a nice stretch or do some yoga, at the time I'm doing it, I'm crying, probably screaming in my head, asking myself why I'm torturing myself, which actually is also part of the mental part. You got to change that thinking. But at the end, you feel so good. You actually feel good. Now, the non running is not because of the smoking, because that takes a toll too. But the exercise helps you to relieve the stress, it helps you get your blood flowing, and it rises up your energy. It brings up your energy. Another thing which is key, you have to sleeping. Give your mind a break. Try to go to sleep naturally if you can. If you have problems with sleeping, I would suggest looking up and see what works for you. I'm not going to suggest anything here. This next one will put me in the category of hypocrite. It says reduce smoking and alcohol. Now, I have to admit, although I have not quit either, I have reduced it. And I have reduced it because of the prior ones that I brought up. Changing my diet made me not crave smoking as much. I even noticed I smoked the most at work, and I'm no longer a chain smoker. So that helps little by little. I don't believe in quitting cold turkey, doesn't work for me. What did someone tell me once? And these are people who quit smoking themselves. They said, when you're ready, you're ready. So you may want to do that gradually. Now, as a smoker myself, I could tell you one of the ways I've done that gradually is I how can I say, what I do is I give myself cigarette allowances daily. I have a little thing I carry cigarettes. I take them, so many cigarettes for the day, and my goal is always to have one or two left over. So I'm smoking less. I always have a couple. That's just a method that works for me. So if you're thinking about quitting smoking and detoxing from that, that's one method you could use, so you don't have to quit cold turkey and everybody around you is safe. If you know, you know. Um, as for the alcohol, I'm not an expert on that one either. Um, everything in moderation. Now, okay, this is more internally supporting your gut microbiome, your gut. Uh, so, which actually I think it does do with the people, places, and things, because it goes under what you eat, healthy diet. One of the things on my home on the homesteading playlist that I'm going to put together eventually. One of the things that we in Western society don't partake enough of, which would help your gut, is fermented vegetables, sauerkraut, kimchi. Oh my God, I love myself some kimchi. Um, I do pickled onions, and I try to make it part of my daily diet when I can, and it made such a big difference. Partake, partake. What you let in. How did I learn about that? What I intook when I was, instead of doom scrolling, I was scrolling for methods of fermentation, methods of this, you see, intake, and it changes your life. You're detoxing yourself and your body by gaining the knowledge, which causes changes of habit. Increased potassium. That's more to the traditional detoxing that most people do. This one is something I do a lot, and it's called fasting. Um, that's self-explanatory. Um, my only my only thing I could say about fasting, and this is as far as I'm going to go with that because it's each their own, and you follow it your own. No matter when you fast, make sure you keep yourself hydrated. So you should be drinking water at least. Now, I know there's people who have customs that you don't even partake in that. That is to each their own, and it's you. The next one is herbs. Now, herbs, this one is talking about, I know when I looked this up, it was talking about the traditional detoxing. But here goes something beautiful about herbs that is beautiful. When it falls under herbs, it also falls under aromatherapy, which is something I just love. Um, so your scent. Um, ever have that walk somewhere, go somewhere, and you catch a whiff and it just takes you somewhere beautiful, hopefully. It takes you to a nice, beautiful memory. It reminds you of something wonderful. Um, I believe in aromatherapy. So if you have a scent, um, you could use an infuser in your home space, which is like a bowl, and it has sticks, and you just put it in there. I think there's usually water that goes with it, and I'm not sure what you put in it because I don't use that form. And then it just permeates through the house, and it makes the house smell nice. Or cook about your cookies, which actually is funny because most realtors, I was told, when they're selling a house, what they do to give you a more of a homely feel, so they know how this works. They put they cook cookies, or they put like cookie dough smell, scented candles. That's another one, scented candles. An incense burner. So you could do scented candles, infusion, and just find that scent that you like. Or if you need to de-stress, lavender. I love my lavender. So herbs help you to detox nasal um by scent. It takes you somewhere. It takes you somewhere beautiful, hopefully. Because sometimes you walk through, especially in the city, and it's not so nice. But we won't focus on that. Some things you don't have control over. Um, diet supplements. That is something I'm probably going to touch on a later series. For going through menopause, but using diet supplements as per, I would always say when it comes to stuff like that, talk to your physician. Um, Now when you're detoxing, you're de- you're detoxing toxins within your body, toxic behavior or bodies. Toxic behavior. How can I? Um, I've said rudeness earlier when I started, and that's the best way I could say it. Um, when you go through that door, don't just walk through it and don't look behind. Um, hold the door open for the person behind you if there's someone behind you. Um, I'm trying to think what other. When communicating with others, try to be a little bit more positive, because always finding the negative is toxic behavior. Um, Try not to gossip. I know that's one I'm always harping on in almost everything I do, but it is a slippery slope, to say the least. Um, Toxic people within our lives. I try not to be the negative Nilly um, around people. Sometimes you fall into that habit um, because you don't want to be around a negative Nelly. And if you find yourself, how can I say, being, you get a happy feeling for that, you may want to adjust that. Because that is a toxic behavior. I'm not saying we have to be happy all the time, because I remember I used to be like that. What did they used to tell me? I saw the world with rose-colored glasses. Um, but you don't have to be upset all the time either. You can have a joyful disposition and still be you, which actually goes in line with the previous charge up I had for boundaries. It's easier when you set those boundaries. Oh my goodness, everything comes together, comes full circle. Because when you set the boundaries, you could see the toxic elements around you that needs to be adjusted. Um, so the forms of detoxing. You detox from toxins. We detox from harmful habits. Now I say smoking because yes, I know it is a harmful habit that I have. It's harmful to me, so I'm trying to slow down on it. But there are other harmful habits that you could do depending on you. If you're a diabetic and your doctor says you can't have sugar, that becomes your harmful habit. You have to detox from that habit. You have to do your research. I can't tell you, I'm not a diabetic, but I've had diabetics in my family, and it takes them a lot of discipline to make sure that they don't fall into the habit of going for that sweet. I have a sweet tooth. Um, so I know how hard it is. If I don't have my little bit of chocolate at least once during the day, I'm waking up in the middle of the night and I'm binge eating on chocolate, to the point where one time I had to make sure I had no chocolates in the house just so I didn't have that urge. Now, I went to the extreme on that one, but it is stuff like that. If you have that one item, salt, blood pressure, I like my food spicy. But luckily, I have someone who taught me how to use herbs and regular herbs, oregano, basil stuff to make my food flavorful. So I don't have to use as much. I'm not to the point where I don't need salt. As much salt in my food as I usually like. Junk food. I'm sorry, harmful habit, junk food. I have to touch it. I am a sucker for McDonald's. It is McDonald's and pizza. Um, but I had to purge myself from McDonald's, so I only have it maybe once or twice a month. Harmful habit. And pizza, learn to make it myself. Again, I will have that on my homesteading channel. Oh, sorry, city homesteading, because I don't have the space for homesteading. Um, and toxic external elements. People, places, things. Don't tempt yourself. If you know you're the type of person that goes out for a drink and you get into a fight when you go out drinking all the time, again, I'm going for the extreme just to make my point. Um, Maybe you don't want to go to the bar. Maybe you don't want to go to that club because you know it's not going to turn out right. It's a toxic external element that you're allowing into your life. Um, it takes time. So, I mean, I did throw a lot of things there, but maybe it's just one habit, and it'll domino down to the other ones automatically. It'll be natural. Case in point, healthy diet, aches and pains, gut problems, and everything else, and you don't know what's causing it. So you're like, okay, I'm going to change the way I eat. I'm not going to go out to eat anymore. I'm not going to order in anymore. Well, we're going to reduce that. Okay, we're going to reduce that. We're going to eat more. We're going to look at the quality of the food. When I get my vegetables, if I don't grow them myself, which sometimes I do, I'm going to make sure I clean it, because we have pesticides in our food. That's another discussion. And I'm going to make sure that I have an adjustment, a healthier adjustment. So I am not. So, oh my goodness, I'm feeling better. I have more energy. I don't mind going for that walk. I could walk those 2, 3 stops instead of taking the bus. Um, or I could get up earlier and get a stretch going. Domino effect. I feel so good. Maybe I should start taking certain vitamins now because I'm everything falls into place. You just have to make the decision as you're detoxing your body, especially if you're going through detox right now. I think there's like a 21-day thing too that people do. So if you're going through that, we are on, oh, you probably done now. But if you choose to go through it again, next time think, okay, this is a clean slate. I'm going to change this habit, this habit. I am going to hang out with my friends who eat healthier. I am going to go places that have that healthier option. I'm not saying salad. Sometimes I'm not a fan of buying salad outside my home. If I have salad, I have salad in my home. Um, and this is strictly my opinion, but iceberg lettuce is not lettuce. And I discovered that after having romaine lettuce. Anyway, as I was saying, as I was saying, think about changing it so you can continue and grow. Um, if if you read my book, Vista Within, 30 Days with You, which I said I will put the link in the description, and I may be able to, let me see. And YouTube, I'm going to put in the description. Twitter, I'm not putting it on there. I do apologize. I'm not established yet. And I'll put the link in here in the chat. And oh, there we go. So I'm just going to put the link in there. In here. Once I find it in Amazon. And then you could order it there. Also, what you listen to, the music you listen to also is a factor. So within Vista Within, and this is copywritten by me. So that's some research I have to do on that one. So there we go. Oh, the link is too big. Okay, I'll put it in the description after this live. So along with Vista Within, these are ways that I built within that book. I built it up. So you go and you build yourself up in 30 days. But back to detoxing. So to detox from those bad habits, external elements, and if you want to, you could go through with there we go. There, I just shared the link. So you could go through it in a manner where you built on it. So choose one thing and choose a detox from it. And you can do this. Maybe have one less dessert throughout the day. Maybe go ahead and up your water intake. Have that home cooked meal twice a day, 3 times a day, instead of ordering out. Go for a walk and take in the sights. We want to live a more positive life. And we want to be a more positive you. So the way it is you take out the bad and you allow the in good. You detox. Detox your surroundings. Detox what the 5 senses take in. And you will feel better. And you'll have a better week. So until next time, this is the Loon saying catch you next time. Mwah. Have a beautiful week. Detox from the negativity around you and negative people, places, and things. And enjoy.